So let's start as always, just with sitting, trying to find a comfortable position. Just remind yourselves if you've done this before, or inform you if you've done, if it's your first time watching on YouTube, that ideally will be forwards in the chair. There's a bit of our weight forward, so slightly tilted forward, so you can feel some of your weight in. You do find that this is straining your back, then by all means do sit back. It's not worth straining your back for this. Alternatively, if you can find something fairly firm to put behind your back, between your back and the chair, that can also work. Whatever's most comfortable for you. Just rubbing your hands together, and then with the pads of your fingers gently tapping over your face. Working up over your head and neck. Come down to one shoulder, tapping your shoulder and then your arm. I generally go down the inside of my arm and up the outside, but it really isn't vital that you get it exactly like that. On the other side, just noticing the sensation as you tap your arm, the sort of vibration in your muscles, maybe in the fingers, and the upper part of your chest. And then down to your belly. And finally, and just sitting back in the chair, feet out, so you're sitting in the deck chair. The nature of Tai Chi that however long you've been doing this for, and really whatever your interest in Tai Chi is, which is quite a diverse art, we will start with the same basics. It's a bit like cooking. You're going to cook something, but a lot of the preparation is common to pretty much all dishes. And posture and a focus of attention and the nuances between those are the foundations from which we move forwards and upwards and outwards with Tai Chi. And one of the key things, as always, is rooting down, this feeling that we can find a way of sitting or standing that puts us more in line with the pull of gravity. Allow our center of gravity to drop, rooting down. This gives us, amongst other things, a sense of stability. And so that we're not straining against the pull of gravity. So with this posture, the chair is catching the weight. It's one of the reasons I use it, so that we can begin to get a sense for how it feels in our body when we're sitting in a way that simply allows your body maximum relaxation. So big muscles, say in your chest or your back, in your legs, don't have to strain at all. Relaxation isn't necessarily the best way of describing the feeling, but it's a good starting point. Give yourself a few moments just to register the characteristics of this posture. Maybe just noticing the rhythm of your breathing, for instance. And then coming back to the upright position. Again, you can be slightly forward in your chair. Feeling that you're supported by your feet a little bit. Obviously by the chair, but also it's your hips and buttocks on the chair. And this slight angling forwards can emphasize the role of our backs in supporting the front of our body, trying not to hold any tightness in our chest or our solar plexus or our belly. I sometimes describe learning Tai Chi as a process of unlearning, of trying to change old habits of posture, of movement, many of which habitually put us into conflict with this major force of gravity that acts on us the whole time. Gravity is not going to go away, but maybe we can find a way of adjusting our posture so that we're pulled down into the foundation, which in the chair is this square that we can imagine with our feet and our hips at and just beginning to feel how we get supported. So again, feet and hips are obviously supported with legs, of course. Our back supporting the front of our body. And as we begin as a consequence to lose some of the tightness in the big muscles of our back and our shoulders and so on, increasingly aware of the support that comes from within the body. I said earlier that relaxation is perhaps not the best term. The Chinese term is song and covers a range of meanings. Really what we're looking for is a posture that doesn't require certain muscles to stiffen up, to really tighten up. So that the tone of the soft tissue of the body, not just muscles, but tendons, ligaments, fascia, so on, have a kind of elastic quality to it. And one of the characteristics for me, and if you would describe it in a different way, that's fine. But one of the characteristics for me is that it creates more spacing. It's like if you've got a tight pair of shoes or a tight top on or something like that. When you take it off, it's almost like your body can expand. And we're looking to try and maintain and cultivate this space within the body with the flow of internal movement, the energy, the momentum, the movements, so that we can move more freely. And this has an impact on what we might think of as the external movements, the movements of our arms and so on and so forth. So it's a matter of constant refinement, because as we start doing Tai Chi, inevitably our posture will begin to change. And as bits of our posture change, so that has an impact. And so this is not a kind of quick fix. It's not, oh, I've sorted out posture, now I'll move on. It's really one of the things that we're constantly working with and constantly aware of. And this has the effect of giving us an anchor for our attention. These movements are intentional, consciously intentional movements. So a focus of awareness is a key aspect of Tai Chi practice. And the calmness that comes out of that is one of the key benefits. So then just beginning to move, going to the different regions of the body, turning your head a little, trying to move with a fluidity of movement, and one that doesn't reinforce any sense of strain. We may find, once again, that we have habits of movement that cause us to sort of strain when we begin to move. Maybe that, you know, maybe at some point or even now, there's some kind of injury or condition that makes movement difficult. The movements are sometimes described as internal massages, then. So we can begin to generate that intention. And as you begin to feel glimpses of that quality of movement, we can take that awareness, we can take that feeling and imagine, project it into other areas of the body that maybe feel a bit stiffer. Placing your hands in front of the shoulders and circling your elbows back. One of the strong cultural and historical connections between these practices and other aspects of the of Chinese healing is with traditional Chinese medicine. And one of the key elements in that is the development of this internal flow, the flow of the energy moving through the body uninhibited. And so this is definitely one of the things that we're trying to cultivate as an outcome. And then going forwards. Hands down to your sides now. As the hands drop down and just rotating your arm. Notice that my hands are slightly out from my body. That cultivation is a mind-body process. The saying in Chinese medicine is an interesting one where they say that the energy will follow the thought and the body will follow the energy. In context that we're working, I think it's probably more helpful to think of that less as a linear thing, more that these three elements of body, mind, movement actually support and reinforce each other like the three legs of a triangle. But either way we look at it, all three are important. So this is one of the reasons I sometimes say to people that we get more out of this art. If we see it as a moving meditation, winding your arms. That last is not to imply that it's not exercise. It is, of course, exercise. You're moving. But quite often when we think of exercise, we come in with a kind of pre-formed concept of what exercise should be. And quite a lot of what we do in Tai Chi really asks us to move away from that. Go back the other way. So having rooted down, we then come to another key principle in Tai Chi, which is that our weight is mobile. As you sit here, about 70% of your weight will be back in your hips. But if you now tilt your pelvis forwards a little bit, more of your weight will go into your feet. And that compresses your legs, and then they expand a little bit. You feel your feet pushing into the ground, and you get pushed back. So our weight moving moves our body. So the transfer of weight is another key fundamental element that we learn to focus our attention on and to focus our intention on. The intention is for your weight to go into your feet. And if you've been doing this for a while, actually the target point, as it were, is just behind the ball of your foot, so slightly forwards in your feet. If that's difficult, and it's quite difficult to feel to sort of focus on your feet in that way, especially in the chair-based exercises, then one of the things you can do is as you go forwards, I'll exaggerate this slightly, I go forward, I just raise my heels a little bit, and that puts pressure on the balls of the feet. Don't do it too many times because your calf muscles will stiffen up. But this can be a way in to feeling the more subtle aspect when we leave our heels down. You know, you have a sense of what it feels like. And noticing the movement in your upper body as you go forwards and backwards, and recognizing that it's the center of your body is pelvis, hips, that actually govern the movement. And so we have another key principle, which is the significance of the center part of the body, directing the movements of our body. And this time we can see if you turn slightly towards one leg, then more of your weight will go into that leg. And this area of the body, sometimes described as being like the hub of a wheel. So when a wheel turns, the spokes all move. We want to feel that the passage of our weight down through that leg is uninhibited as much as possible. turning the other way. So we're told in Tai Chi, all of this is summed up quite neatly with one phrase that simply says first in the mind. And that refers to this quietening, this settling of our attention and the bringing in of a focused conscious intention. Rooted in the beat, this dropping of our center of gravity, transmitted through our legs. You can see that our legs are a key element here, and then expressed in our upper body and arms. And then rolling your pelvis around, just let that movement draw your head and shoulders around in a smooth circle. Not too big a movement. If you go out too far, so if I go right out here, I'm now going to have to stiffen up somewhere. Otherwise, I'm just going to fall out of the chair, which is not the idea. Going back the other way. So an awareness of our whole body is very important, but we have a natural bias towards the upper part of our body. It's quite natural. We tend to be much more aware of what our hands are doing than what our feet are doing. So we apply a lot of attention to our feet, to the placement, planted as we would call it, of our feet. So now pull one foot up, push the foot out, put your heel down, lower your toes, make sure your knee isn't locked, and gently press into the floor, and then come back. This is what we call planting the foot. You just got a strong sense of the connection from the sole of your foot to the floor beneath it, to the ground. And this time you plant the foot and then tilt forward so your weight follows. Don't let your weight go forwards until the foot is properly in place. Again, this can be quite difficult because we're not used to paying this sort of close attention to the exact placement of our feet. And try on the other side, so turn slightly, extend the foot, empty first of all, empty because there's no significant weight in the foot. And then followed by our weight moving. One more time. And bring the feet back. So just settling in again. It's important to recognize that time and practice are an important element here. That when we do these movements, like for instance, when we focus our attention and our intention on to our feet, we are certainly training the muscles and tendons and ligaments as you would expect. Also training the nervous system. So though it's never easy, I think that awareness of what our feet are doing in relation to the whole body actually becomes a more familiar kind of quality. So now we're concerned with the whole of the body, having gone through the different parts. There's a sort of blending here. So let your hands drop down in that position that we had before. Turn your hands palm forwards. Roll your weight forwards, and as you do, rotate them up. This is a movement called bird folds its wings. You can see from here, I'm not actually moving my arms forwards and backwards. They're hanging directly below my shoulders. A little bit more movement offered by the rotation, but the main movement comes from that movement of our weight from hips to feet and back again. As you go forwards, feel as though your hips are dropping back. So that tends to encourage a lengthening through your back and your spine, and the contraction of that lengthening also helps to bring you to the upright position. In the end, we're not reliant on any one part of the body. There is a hierarchy, as I said, your feet, legs are always going to be important, have a primary position, but other parts of the body as well. And again, to quote from the old Tai Chi writers, we're told that when one part of our body is in motion, our whole body is in motion. These are, in a way, holistic movements, you could say, engaging body and mind as one collective unity. This too, I think, is one of the benefits of our minds as much as anything else that comes out. This time, leaving your hands behind and go back, palms facing back, and then forward. So going from the side. I can only do one hand with the back of the chair, but carry on with two hands. I push down through my feet, my hips are pulling me back, my shoulders get drawn up, and my arms spread. Fisherman casting it. Reverses going. We use a great deal of imagery in Tai Chi. Our bodies are very responsive to images, just as a natural thing. We respond to photographs and sounds. We respond to pictures in a magazine and so on and so forth. Memories. And these really can have a profound effect on these small changes within the body that we've begun to notice, which in their turn build up into the bigger movements. One of the most important images, one of the most universal images that we use is to imagine that we're moving in water. Because when we move in water, we naturally develop a style of movement that's very akin to what we're looking for in these exercises of Qigong and Tai Chi. Movement that's actually quite strong, but where our whole body again is one way or another engaged, but which we almost instinctively realize doesn't require a tightening, stiffening up, or bunching up of muscles. So these first two exercises, very straightforward, literally straightforward exercises, are a good way of just beginning to accustom ourselves and remind ourselves of the overall feel of the movement. And that too becomes an intention. We intend to move as though we're moving. We intend to move, engaging our whole body. Next time, as your hands come forward, leave them out there, and as you come back, notice how that draws your hands over. Not trying to lift the hands. It's called rolling a ball into the chest. So if you had a ball there, your arms would be draped over the ball, and push through your feet, let your hips drop back, and pull the ball in towards you. One of the things that happens when we do this is we get away from the idea that we have to somehow lift the arms. So again, big muscles like biceps, triceps, trapezius aren't put under strain. And that allows us to become more aware of these small changes within the body, including with this one, a sense of expansion upwards from the ground to our belly into our chest, like a wave coming up underneath our arms, pushing our arms up. And you may find, as you start to feel that apparently without effort, your arms and hands will come up higher. If they don't, it's fine. Just give it time. And remember, we're not robots. So if you've done this lots of times before, you sometimes have an expectation this is what should happen. But just observing what is going on within your body, remembering that we're looking to maintain that spacious quality, not to stiffen up, not to strain. And if that means that maybe our arms aren't coming up as high as they might have done last week, so be it. It's not the end of it. We may be able to work out why, and again, bring a degree of intentionality towards resolving whatever that is. This time, turn your hands palm in, and as you come back, draw your elbows apart. And then it's called pigeon spreads its wings, because we can end up with a slightly barrel chested feel, but don't put your belly. And notice that as I come back, at the furthest extent, my arms haven't gone above my shoulders and they haven't gone behind my shoulders. As a general rule of thumb, if we don't overdo the movements externally, the movements that you can see and are copying, we tend to become more aware of those internal movements and more able to bring a sense of intentionality to it. Think of intention as an instruction from your mind to your body, and that will be transmitted through this central part of the body. Hips and pelvis and waist. So broadcasting those intentions. One more time. This time as you come back, your hands stay in line with your hips. Elbows still go out a little bit, push forwards. Just notice how your arms naturally curve up as your elbows come in. That expansion and contraction in your elbows mirrored in your chest, or maybe the other way around. It's just pushing wave, that wave-like movement through your body, that pushing your arms forwards. So this gives us a stronger feel. Again, as though you're perhaps pushing into water. One more time. And then this time, as you sit back, combine it with that stepping we did earlier, extend one foot, plant it, push forwards. Coming back, and this time, changing from side to side. Just noticing how your body adjusts to allow one foot to move out. Slight shift of your weight from one side of the body to another. Paying close attention to patterns of expansion and contraction, the flow of the energy within your body. One more on each side. And then planting the foot down, roll your fingers into a hollow fist. Some of your arms go straight out and back, rotating as they do. So palm up when your weight's back in your hips, rolling forwards. So as you go forward, you rotate your hands so that they're palm down. If you find that you can't travel, get your arms to move through that full range of movement, just move as far as you can. One more time. Open your fingers, almost like you're doing the breaststroke, but the weight comes back. Draw your arms in and once again press forwards. Chest open, shoulders rotate as your arms drop down and they just come back, they're right in front of your hips. One more time. And then going back, turning your hands palm down. Turn your body one side, ease forward, let that move, extend your arms out, swing around, draw back into your hips, bringing the hands in, and then change direction. Your arms are drawn around a nice smooth circle, an exercise called polishing. Moving side to side, forwards and backwards. Not too far, not beyond your hips, your feet. One more time. Coming back. Turning your hands palm up, as though you have a ball cradled in your arms. A gentle push down through feet and hips should be enough to just push your arms up. Turn them over as though the ball were underneath your arms. Pressing down. Just try and focus on your back. Feel that gentle lengthening and then the contraction of your back again. There's patterns of movement within the body expressed through your arms and hands. And then turning your hands out and pushing up outwards. This is a movement called the wild goose. So the image here, very evocative one, I always found the bird in flight. An image isn't working for you though, for one reason or another. That doesn't represent a failure. The images are there to help you cultivate these movements. And if an image isn't working for that, then it's simply the wrong image for you at this time. Try and use a variety of images to offer to people. So hopefully you can pick something up. One more time. Next exercise, as your hands come down, you tilt forwards very slightly just to allow your hands brush in front of your knees. You sit back and push up, elbows going out, drawing your fingers around in a circular movement or parting the palms. Now, those of you with more experience, if you can do so without getting distracted, it might be worthwhile that if there is an image that you've never quite got, you know, what's he on about there, or what does that mean? Sometimes it can be worth just investigating that image, pondering over it, perhaps. maybe just playing around with the image uh, and observing what difference that is making within our body. This way, we begin to be able to engage our intentions very much with this internal flow. To direct the flow in certain ways, certain reasons, like to release a particular area of the body. Now, letting your hands drop down. Now we alternate from side to side. So on one side, expanding, the elbow being pushed up, and then drawing down. You let your attention move to the opposite side, and once again, expand. That's as dragon plucks the stars from the sky. Again, learning to vary our intention. So we could take this a bit further. If, say, for instance, as you do this, you realise that your back's a bit stiff, or maybe a different way, you know, you're feeling a bit tired, a bit sleepy, low in energy. And we can, again, bring an intention to that. We want the movement, the energy to flow through that area of the back, like imagine what it's like. When you get a feeling that we can just replace that tiredness with something a bit more vibrant, moving, the energy moving. Maybe, you know, take a breath in, maybe registering the sharpness, the clarity of the in-breath. As you breathe out the tiredness. Changing the exercise. You may find an exercise is helpful. Yeah. Pushing up, hands just a little bit above your head, arms facing up as much. But remember, nothing should be. Pushing in two directions. And then adding two more directions. Same pattern with your arms, they're going to push out from your shoulders, but you turn in that central area in your hips and your pelvis, and that sends your arms out in a slightly different direction without you having to twist up in the back of the shoulders. Then in the other direction, you may find one direction comes more easily than another. And then finishing facing forward once again, arms pushing out. And notice how this movement, with its very regular pattern of expansion and contraction, again encourages a returning of your attention and all that implies to that central part of the body. That's the part of the body that we want to sink towards the ground. It's the part of the body we begin to associate with that quality of calmness. Do one more round like this. This time, extend one foot, rest it on the heel. Again, elbows still a little bit bent. Most of your weight staying back. So you're just going to scoop water up in your arms, back gently lengthening, hips dropping back, a bit of a push from the other foot, brings you up, expanding up through like this, scooping the sea, looking at the sky. You may find that, again, I'll show you the slide here, that actually you angle back very slightly, but don't make that too big a move. Remember, the further you go back, the more you've got to effort you've got to put into coming back to the upright position. And then fingers rolling in, and again a hollow fist. So movement upwards, expanding upwards through your back, from your hips, grasping the tiger's hips. One more time. Change sides. And changing. One more time. Come back. Once again, just register the qualities of this posture. We're now going to go into standing movements. And if you have an idea of qualities that you're looking for, that can be very helpful alongside the technique. Okay, so getting ready to stand, again rubbing your hands together and tapping over your face. Getting over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder and your arm. And on the other side, upper part of your chest. Down to your belly. And then your neck. Your heels up and down. You get the muscles of your legs working a little bit before you use them for standing. And then circling. And then back down. Lovely. Okay, so stand carefully if you wish to stand. I'm going to move my chair out of the way, but sometimes it can be very interesting to use the chair for a bit of support. Because what we want to do now is to find that alignment with the pull of gravity. There's always a bit of trial and error. involved with this. And then once again, it will change. But we want to have our feet directly below our hips, so not too close together. So parallel lines from shoulders to hips to feet. And ideally, and again, this might not be comfortable for you straight away, the weight a little bit forwards, just allowing your hips to drop back. And notice when I do this, when my hips drop back, it brings my body gently to an upright position. There's a slight curve in the knees there. And then being very careful of your knees, because this is one of the things we want to be aware of, that that releasing in our hips, our center dropping down, we're dropping our center of gravity. This is where the stability comes from. But if we can go down a little bit further, that feeling becomes stronger. And once again, we get pushed back up. So the rooting down isn't just about stability, important though that is. And often it's a driving factor for people to start doing Tai Chi. But it's also in that act of sinking down. It doesn't have to be a big movement, that we get that sense of a push and energy coming up from the ground. Bringing your hands around as though you're cradling the ball. So like the exercise we did earlier in the chair, sinking down, hips dropping, shoulders going down, hands following. And then turn your hands out and push up into the wild goose standing version and down. And then letting your hands drop down and parting the legs. Just experiencing these three movements as a very simple sequence. Maybe using that sequence just to, again, draw our attention into our body through these very subtle changing patterns of expansion and contractions within the body. Sinking down, rooted in our feet, transmitted through our legs, directed through the center of the body. Do this one more time. Now, changing our stance, turn one foot out and step straight forward with the other foot. Now we have the potential to move our weight once again from foot to foot. Let your weight sink back. You feel that sense of compression in the leg, which then expands, and you direct the movement into your front foot with the pressure and back. And again, people with more experience, just behind the ball of the foot is your target area. So your body begins to move, and there's more chance when you move like this, when you move from the ground, that you maintain the alignment of the body. So you remain in line with the pull of gravity, and you use the pull of gravity to sort of kickstart them. And this time, if when you go forwards, you push your back knee in, your heel will come up, move a little bit more. And then as we go back, as you settle in, you raise your front toes, and again, you move a little bit more. So we gradually bring our bodies more in line with our supporting leg. We root down through that supporting leg. And so we begin to generate a degree of stability, not just on two legs, not just seated, but over one leg as well, which is obviously going to be a bit more difficult, requires a bit more practice. But it means that what we can then do is bring the empty foot, as we would call it, in, and push out. You put the ball of the foot down, you lower the heel, it's the back foot, you press in, you plant, and then front foot, and again, this time it's the heel, then the ball of the foot, then the press in. So a slow, shortish step, keeping the width of your step, and focusing on that sense of connection to the ground. Literally moving with a sense of groundedness, both in body and in mind as well. Shake out. Try that with your other foot forwards. Just first of all, what we would call fixed step in Tai Chi, that's not raising toes and heel. But then again, you can begin to raise your toes and your heel, not straining in your upper body as you do this. You might feel that your shoulders are tightening, but allowing that tension to flow down, becoming more confident in the natural structures of your body. Remember, legs, back, skeleton, they're all supporting it. The weight is dropping down, that helps a great deal with your stability. And then bringing your foot in. So you're walking on thin ice or walking on, paddling in the sea on soft sand. Being very careful of your step. And then just see if you can take a step through. You can go forwards or backwards. Take your time, quite slow. Just give yourself time to just reflect on this process of walking, which we so easily overlook. And then going in the other direction. Okay. Now have your right foot forward, so mirror my movements. Start with your weight in your back foot, your left foot. Go into the standing version of fisherman castanet. Once again, your arms following your shoulders following your hips following the movement of your hips. So you're moving through the water, so you get this lovely wave-like flow of movement from the ground through your body and out through your hands. The natural curve in your arms as they swing. And this time, as you come back, turn and let that curve build upwards to just under shoulder height, and then you go forwards, your arms coming down into the front foot. You turn, your arms curve up and back, tracing out what we could call a sideways figure of eight movement, or infinity sign finding mathematics and physics. You can imagine that shape in front of you, just allowing your body to flow through. Patterns of expansion and contraction still there in your body. Part of the driving force for the movement. So increasingly, you have to make less effort with the arms and shoulders and back. One more time. Shake. Then move your left foot forwards and same thing, mirroring my movements. Fisherman castanet, a lovely exercise on, as always, for just giving yourself a chance to train your attention to focus on those very small, subtle changes within the body, and letting your attention lead into this intentionality. And return. Remember, as though you're moving through water. A slight sense of resistance in the air around you. Contributing to the flow of the movement. Just increasingly trying to feel that the movement is generated from within and expressed outwardly rather than the other way around. Not that the outward movements aren't important, it's a question of how they come about. One more time. As you come back, we're going to now combine this with the stepping. I'm going to go forward, so I'll turn my front foot out slightly. We haven't got room in front, so you go back, go forwards, bring your hands down. As they swing up, bring the empty foot in, plant the foot forwards or backwards, and then move. Again, think about the alignment of your body with the pull of gravity through your body. And you may find that you can, as you raise your arms, raise your knee as well. Plant the foot, transfer. And then change direction. If you haven't done so already, taking your time. Hips dropping back a little bit. That feeling of allowing gravity, free passage down through your body into the ground. So by your leg and your foot rather than pulling you over. And then shake. Go back to your chairs now. Once again, sitting. I think it's important to realize that for all of us, we're all learning, developing in these arts, and all these ideas about posture and rooting and the quality of movement, the flow of energy are aspirational. In other words, we're aiming towards them, but we don't always get there. So don't feel that you've somehow failed if these things come and go. But this last exercise really is one that brings us back. It's called Embrace Tiger, Return to the Mountain. And so it's really about how we come back to these postures. We know that we won't keep these qualities the whole time, but it's like we construct a pathway back. So just letting your hands dropping down and start with the movement very much like the wild goose, your arms coming out, but then they wrap around so you're going to hold the ball against your chest. Drawing in and feeling that pull of gravity through your hips, your back, your shoulders, bringing you back to this position of quietness, groundedness. And then from there, once again, moving out, expanding, and then again, it's the flowing of gravity down through your body, that free flow of energy downwards that quite naturally leads to the opposite movement, the free flow of energy upwards through. to a really in simple. But also this sense of here, your attention coming down into your feet, into your hips, into the ground, resting quietly from it, and starting. But when we return to the mountain, we physically return to the root. But in our minds, we just come back to this sense of quiet spaciousness for a moment. One more time. And thank you very much for your attention, everybody. I hope that was useful to you. Enjoy the rest of your day and hopefully see you again soon. Please do feel free to contact me with any questions.